Hi all, right back to Enemy Action Kharkov, Soviet Soul, Take 2, Part 37. So, yeah, I managed to watch back on Part 36 there as well. Tried to avoid mistakes if we can. Again, not that I'm likely to spot every one of them. Looked okay. Obviously the concern was getting these right. Almost blundered, I suppose. Quite nice that I caught that right in the end about the being outside the support line, and hopefully that'll stay in my mind now a bit as well. So there's a few things that are coming about with that, isn't there? Okay, so yeah, I was having a look and just before I press record there to see what I might be wanting to do. There's my hand. 3 cards on top are all the supplemental cards, so all possible to assign replacement points. So, and the fact that I know I'm going to draw the 3 cards as primary cards and be able to activate the armies, it kind of feels like you should be taking advantage of assigning replacement points within. I don't know. I think the position I've chose to be in just now, I think it makes sense. Like I've went on over this. I mean, obviously Popov, I don't want to just have them sitting down here. I mean, yeah, if I do get the chance to replace a point on one of them, probably should take it. However, we got the supplemental card for them last turn, so we're not going to get it this turn. And I suppose these are some things that you should try and keep in mind, that I'm not going to get these 3 cards next turn either. So there's no point thinking to myself, right, I'll replace a point, on one of the armies, because it's not going to happen next turn. But yeah, as I was saying about Popov, then yeah, we could get them to do something else. I'm not quite sure what. But as for the 6th Army, yes, I do want to manoeuvre them a little bit, but we need to make sure we've got all these. And I found out obviously that these 2 VP hexes are important because I've got to leave a unit in them. So what I'm going to do is when I activate first guards, I'm going to move this guy along to there, I'm going to move one of the guys into there, I'm going to have 1 in there, and I'm going to have 1 there. Unfortunately, it means I'm not going to be able to get something for there for the the first guards. So it's possible one of the 6th Army units might sit there, unless we feel like there's no danger, but at the moment there is still a bit of danger. The problem being here though is I stacked 3 units in here. I never thought about it at the time. I wanted to keep 2 stacks. So now if I was to activate the first guards, I can't actually move that unit into that hex. However, again, it is the supplemental card. And we do have this unit here which is reduced. So should I repair that with a supplemental card? Maybe we'll get a Popov units card, move them out, then we draw the first guard's primary card, and then we move them along. That's kind of what I'm thinking, but again, this whole excuse about being the first game that I've played of it, so not sure if I should be doing other things. This looks like quite a force round here, so yeah, I don't. Well, right, I've got some. The other thing is, I suppose we've got the 2 primary cards for across this side. We're still not sure what we're going to do with 3rd tank. And obviously this is the primary card, so if we're going to use an activation do anything with them, we've got to consider that could be the only card that we get to do it. I don't know, I mean, I suppose there could be a temptation to try and go for this guy, who we know we can surround. However, this is outside the support zone, and that's why he got placed there. So is it possible we should maybe consider one of the events to put a forward support marker down before doing that? Unfortunately the 69th Army card didn't give us that. We do have it on, well, that card, but that would be the one we're using to activate. We've got it on the 40th Army and the 6th Army. But then you don't get to replace the points. Okay, probably going to think about that one. And the other one's the 69th Army, primary card. So, yes, I dare say I would move these units. Yeah, I can't get them strategically moving. So it's going to be a slow kind of process. I don't know, I mean, yes, we could get one into there to relieve the 40th Army unit as well, but 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm like I say, I can't move strategically, so that's as far as they're going to get. And my thinking was to get them along to cover these two, and possibly get further into, like, get into Kharkov maybe, like, so that other units can move out. So yeah, I mean, the other thing, the 69th Army has assault coordination on the card, but I don't think we're really looking at that at the moment. If you look around, there's not any areas where we've got units adjacent to enemy units that we could use assault coordination. Nothing that's jumping out there anyway. In fact, nothing at all. Yeah, in fact, did I not say I couldn't remove an IP off any unit because I wasn't adjacent to it? Not that it would have to be a unit with an IP on it, of course. Right, okay. So I think I know what I'm going to do this impulse, but it's not very exciting. It is just going to be replacing a point. And yeah, I'm going to have to just play through the game like how I'm thinking of it and making the most of these replacement points. That's what I'm seeing. Because if I use it for something else just now, I've got to wait at least 2 turns before I'm going to get the chance to replace again. So, okay. Okay, so I think the one I've decided to go for is 6th Army. So, yeah. I've only done this once already, and it was hard work trying to play a card like this just to assign 1 replacement point. It just feels wrong. Okay, so I'm going to assign 1 replacement point to 6th Army. This guy's full. We do have this guy up here as well, and he is one of the guys that we want to get moving down. I think we're talking about moving him here. We could strategically move him a bit further. There's a garrison around here though anyway, so, but I mean, he could, if he was, he could move to here maybe, but I think I was initially going to leave him here. But I'm just going to wait on the primary card coming, because I know it's going to come. I don't feel like there's an urgency to do that, so, so he's full strength as well anyway, and these guys, yeah, he's reduced, but he's mechanised, and we do have, unfortunately, in here, a reduced infantry. So that's the one we've got to. So it's in supply and it can trace supply. And it's not... What was the other thing that stops it? So I'm going to replace that point there. Can't remember. There's something else that stops it. It's not... Is it dispersed? No, dispersed was okay. Must just be supply, out of supply. Oh, sorry, yeah, it's going to be in supply and be able to trace supply. So, yeah, that's it. And I figured I would go for that one first. I mean, I know it's only an extra 1 strength, just because this seems the biggest threat from the Germans at the moment. So, yeah, not terribly exciting, and I get the feeling that there might be a few of these coming up. I don't know, maybe I should be looking at the bigger picture here and thinking about other things. I'm just not sure. I mean, that area in there has a couple of victory point towns, I mean, if I want to try and achieve... I've still got to be looking for, what, 25? Greater than 25. Well, turn 6 is looking for greater than 25. However, it doesn't have the asterisks. Ooh, that's interesting. Well, maybe we should be trying to think about that then, Grant. I mean, okay, this is only turn 5, but I'm talking about turn 6, but it's just that you don't require to be owning one of the A cities. And, you know, this is one of them here, I think, isn't it? What are they? Yeah, the one with the Z. So there's one there, so they've got 2 infantry units in there. Maybe not the worst, but I mean, look how far away we are. I mean, you can't even see the Popov units at the very bottom of the map. So the likelihood of me getting up here by the end of this turn anyway. But it is probably something, like I say, it doesn't have the asterisks on it on the calendar on turn 6. It just says greater than 25 victory points. So that could be our chance to maybe consider, because sitting at 23 just now, so we'd only need another 3 points by the end of the next turn. I mean, this one would be a nice one to have, but we've got to be able to trace supply, and this road network, it's not any good getting to this road and coming down, because that doesn't help us. So we need to go further in, and even, yeah, we've got that bit. So if we come in from that road down, sorry, hang on, you can see that the road comes in, I could come down there, and then onto the road here, and then that takes us to here, which is an important bit to have, actually. I've just noticed that. Look at that junction, it's got 5 roads coming off at this. So really important. And then that comes down and trace supply. So which would also enable us to maybe think, if we grab that town as well, that would protect that junction for the 2 points. So there's our 3 points, maybe. You know, I mean, okay, there's a certain bunch of guys about here that are going to have something to say about that, but you know, as soon as I get anywhere near proximate to this town, they're going to move into it. And not just that, there's a good chance of deploying into that. Although we did, no, it's the 40 core units in it. So 40 core units have still to deploy this turn. This is maybe something to think about. A wee bit gamey, I suppose, but yeah, that is a bit gamey, isn't it? Not move into proximity of that while there's units in the reserve units box that would deploy there. Yeah, that sounds very gamey. Okay. Anyway, this is one area I could look at, but yeah, just thinking about that just now. And, well, not only that, we could also, I mean, it's 40th Army we probably want to go up here and have a go. And whether they could be supported by any 3rd tank, and there's a victory point in there as well. So certainly 40th Army could be looking at that. Fortunately, this guy's in here. Well, I'm wondering if it might just be wise to leave a couple of the 6th Army units behind then. Because, I mean, they're not getting aggressive, they're just defensive, so maybe leave him here, and then let's get the 40th Army units moving. Okay. Right, okay, some thoughts there to think about and ponder over. Okay, so that was us played the 6th Army card. Like I say, just the one replacement point, but I'm feeling the need. So there we go. And then I'm going to draw another card. So we get, right, 3rd tank. Ooh, that's a supplemental card for 3rd tank as well. So again, another possible replacement point. Okay. Okay, I was just the way of looking at the 3rd tank army units there. I thought I was going to get lucky because I've got a reduced mechanized unit here, 1-step mechanized unit here, and a 1-step armored unit in here. And I thought with no infantry at all, but then I'll not move it because it's in Kharkov, and it was a 1-step infantry in Kharkov. The thing we were, in fact, we were not going to play the card. Obviously, 2 turns ago we were going to play the card to do that, and ended up using it for something else. Yeah. So yeah, but I might well be using it for that this time as well. It feels like it might be a turn of me doing lots of boring stuff like that. So right, well maybe the Germans will make it more fun. So let's see what they've got lined up. Something's caught here. Right, okay, let's get German Impulse in. Here we go. Right, second SS has no reserve units to come in. Ooh, man, I don't think replacements. There's nothing in the eliminated units box, and we already repaired the 2 units in the city. Yeah, no, they've nothing. They're fully good to go. So we're looking at activating them. Yeah. So they've got the 2 units in the city, obviously. Now they've got that one in that city, but I'm pretty sure he's full strength as well. Yeah, I think he's actually 3 steps. You know what I should do? Put him on top. So that's asking for trouble, that. Oops. Right, it's a stretch. We've got this guy in here who's 3 steps, this guy in here who's 3 steps. So some strong units. And then this guy here that's he headed away over there ages ago, didn't he? So he's sitting across there on his own. So right, well we're going to try and attempt to activate them. Now this is the first of us seeing the new action steps then. So this is between turn 5 and 7. Hang on. Right, okay, so what are they going to do then? Right, there's 9 steps again, which was, we had 9 steps in the previous action steps. So if behind Soviet lines again, same thing, so nothing to worry about there. Okay, so step 2 this time is, I think it's the same. So move to VP hex, move to, well, this is going to be a RAD, so it's going to be move to VP hex. Okay, bit of an issue here. I was looking at the action step and I thought they looked like they were slightly. Hang on. Right, sorry, try again. Yeah, I was reading step 2 there and it looked like to me that there was slightly more text within the previous one, you know, just at a glance, although it's one's at the top of the page and one's at the bottom of the other, well, on the same page, but anyway, reading what it says in the play raid, right, move to VP hex, move to German VP hex only if empty or garrisoned and Soviet unit proximate. So that's not the same, because if you remember previously it's move to VP hex, move to German VP hex only if empty or garrisoned and Soviet unit would be proximate after move. So I thought, okay, so there's a change there then. And the other part of it's the same, may end in dangerous round. And then if start, well, the wording looks a bit muddled up. It says if start alone in VP hex and Soviet unit proximate, do not move at all this activation, which it's just the same as if starting alone in VP hex to which Soviet unit proximate, do not move at all in this activation. It's the wording slightly different, but that I see as meaning the same thing. So I thought, oh, okay, that's interesting, and I'm glad I did, but I thought I'm just going to glance at the rule book, and sure enough, on page 19, now it's 10.14 we're looking at now. This is 5 to 7, turn 5 to 7 German action steps for game turns 5 through 7. Step 1, if the unit is behind Soviet lines, blah blah blah. Okay, step 2, right, here we go. Move to a VP hex regardless of ownership. Okay, so that was the same as it was written in the rulebook for the previous 2 turns. Move to a German VP hex only if empty or garrisoned, and only if once the unit completes the move, a Soviet unit will be proximate to that unit. So this is and then the unit may end its move in dangerous round if the unit is alone in VP hex, A Soviet unit is proximate to the unit does not move at all in this activation. So that in the rulebook is an exact copy, it's a copy and paste of step 2 from turns 3 and 4. The player aid, however, is saying that it doesn't, it's not, or am I just move to German VP hex only if empty or garrisoned and Soviet unit proximate. No, I mean that's telling you that, that's saying what I thought it was before, that I would only be moving to a German VP hex if it's empty or garrisoned and the Soviet unit's proximate at the time I'm making the move, not once I've got there. So what is step 18? Well, what 8 to 14? What does that have in the? That's the next time it changes. Well, that's the rest of the game, innit? So action steps from turn 8 onwards. On the player aid, move to VP hex, move to German VP hex, only if empty or garrisoned and Soviet unit proximate. So it's the same, it's not saying proximate after it moves. In fact, that is... Soviet unit proximate. No, it says may end in dangerous round on the player aid, but it doesn't say it in this one. Does that mean it may not end in dangerous round? And that's missing. That's missing from the player aid. The may end in dangerous round. Right, what does it say in the rulebook then? 8 to 14. Move the unit to a VPX regardless of ownership. Move to a German VPX only if hex only empty or garrisoned, and only if once the unit completes the move, a Soviet unit will be proximate to that unit. If the unit is alone in a VP hex, a Soviet unit is proximate to the unit. The unit does not move at all in this activation. Again, no mention of dangerous round there. Whereas the previous two do not say. The previous two say the unit may end its move in dangerous round, whereas this one doesn't, but it's still saying that proximate after the move. So my guess is, I'm thinking is the player aid must be wrong here. Yeah. Well, something's wrong. It either steps it up a bit and the rulebook's wrong, or the player aid's wrong. I want to feel it's a player aid because it's consistent in the rulebook to the same as turns 3 and 4. Right, hang on. Right, I just went away and kind of posted a question, or not so much a question, just something as a sort of heads up, because that does seem a bit inconsistent with what's on the player aid to what's written in the rules. Now, you've got to just... I know the player aids can't store everything on them, so sometimes they do condense, and there are sometimes you'll look at a player aid instruction, check it in the rulebook, and it'll sometimes read slightly different or add a little bit to it and whatever. It's just, within action steps 1 and 2 on the player aid, within action steps 3 and 4 on the player aid, it does say the Soviet unit would be proximate after the move, and it doesn't word it that way. It just says Soviet unit proximate on 5 to 7 action steps, and then on 8 plus action steps, again, Soviet unit. Move to German VPX only if empty or garrisoned and Soviet unit proximate. Now, maybe you could read that in the fact that it's saying that once you've moved the unit, the Soviet unit is proximate. So it might be sort of the same rule, but I think the wording that they've used there, why did they not just copy and paste it from, action steps 3 and 4 and keep it all consistent with that? However, like I say, in the rule book, in both these steps, it does indeed say for turns 5 to 7, It says move to a German VP hex only if entered garrison, and only if once the unit completes the move, a Soviet unit will be proximate to that unit. So that's what I'm going by. Yeah, so I mean that's obviously what you've got to go by, but it could be a bit misleading if you were just going to look at that. It might throw you, and it's only because it seems like it's a change in it. And same with turn 8 to 14, it still uses the word in only if once a unit completes the move, a Soviet unit would be proximate. So my guess is it's meant to be that way. Maybe I'm picking on things that are, looking too deeply into it again, possibly. The one other thing I added though, as a question, I don't know if I mentioned this while I was looking at it or not. I think I did. Was that, and let's just look at the rule book here rather than player. Well, on turns 5 to 7, it says the unit may end its move in dangerous surround. In the rule book, and in the player aid, it says may end in dangerous surround. This is for turns 5 to 7. On turns 8 to 14 in the rule book, it doesn't mention about ending in dangerous surround at all, and also in the player aid, it doesn't mention that it may end in dangerous surround. So, I mean, I'm going to have to say that is consistent with player aid and rule book, and you're not allowed to end in dangerous surround. It's not allowing you to do that this time. So I was just questioning if that was intentional, I suppose, because everything else seemed to be going along and then it's changed up there. So I'll see what anybody says about that. They might just, I might just be told to. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I suppose thinking about it now, it seems like I'm maybe making a mountain out of a molehill, really, because. But yeah, I mean, if you were just looking at that player aid, it could mislead you into thinking it's like steps, like from turn 1 and 2, move to enter gas and VP hex to which Soviet unit proximate. It's similarly worded to that, and it might make you think that, okay, is a Soviet unit proximate to that? No, it can move. Not after the move, which seems to be what it is. Okay, right, stop, Grant, stop. Right, well, I'll keep the rule book open as well then, just in case there's anything else that crops up, rather than read this from the player aid. So that is the same then. We're saying that is the same step 2. I'm just going to go through the rest of them before we start looking at things. Step 3 is... So step 3 in turns 3 and 4 was talking about if in dangerous surround. Well, that's changing now. We're not looking at that. Okay, hang on. No, we're not looking at that. We're going to draw 2 cards now. In step 3, we're going to draw 2 action cards. We're going to check the lower card. If the situation applied, conducts that card's action. Step 4, we're going to check the other drawn card. If the situation applied, conducts that action. So it's the same, but we've removed the if in dangerous surround part, and that doesn't appear to be there. So then step 5 is move the unit to a hex that removes dangerous surround from another German unit in a hex in Soviet support, and it's got that in bold to remind you that that's a condition for it. Remember, when we placed this reserve, we were able to place it in dangerous surround because it's not in Soviet support. So it's only going to remove dangerous surround from another German unit if it's in Soviet support. If it's not going to bother about that. Or that enables supply trace from a German occupied hex, and that's got in brackets regardless of support, so that's more important obviously. And then some preferences. Step 6 is move the unit to a hex in which the unit would be proximate to an empty Soviet hex, if not already proximate to any such hex. Okay, so that's starting to get a bit aggressive. That's them moving towards our VP hexes now. So yeah, okay. Step 7 is move the unit to a hex that causes the Soviet unit to become surrounded. So again, more aggression, they try to get surrounded. Step 8, if not adjacent to a Soviet unit, move to a hex closer to the nearest Soviet unit and then preferences again. Again, more aggression coming towards us. So yeah, this is definitely changing up, isn't it? And then step 9 is if a disperse marker is on the unit, remove the marker. So not even any talk of IPs, because they're not going to hang about now. They're on the move. When you're on the move, IPs, you're leaving them behind. You know, they're just wiping out. So yeah, interesting. Okay, so it's really the big steps 6, 7, and 8, isn't it? Are really much more aggressive. Well, the first real aggression, really. Okay, right. I'm just gonna have a look myself at the comparison between that and the player aid, so that I can just hopefully use the player aid rather than the rule book. I'm gonna have to bear in mind that that bit means the same though as what I did in the previous action steps. Right, sorry, I had to run downstairs. There was a big heavy shower came on there. I had to bring some washing on. Right, not quite sure where was that. I think I was ready to start checking action steps 5 to 7, wasn't I? Yeah, okay. So nothing behind enemy lines. So it's the same. It's going to be the same instruction when they move to VP hex thing. So still the same. And now what we're looking at, this guy, and they two over there. So the only empty or garrisoned. No, hang on. We're looking for any VPX, and yeah, bearing in mind that errata that John's going to add will be part of each of the instructions as well. So it'll be moved to non-Soviet, isn't it? Non-Soviet VP hex only if empty or garrisoned and Soviet unit proximate. But like I say, I'm not. Yeah, okay. I think it's going to be the same. It's going to be and Soviet unit will be proximate after the move. I think so. I'm looking at the player aid there and it's thrown me a bit. Right, well there's none of them. The only VP hex is up here, which is a German. So that's a non-Soviet VP hex, if you like. So it would only move there if we were proximate after it moved there. That's it. Yeah, that's it. Assuming that the player aid is not, I'm assuming we're going by the actual rule book and the word in the player aid. We're just kind of saying I've got it a wee bit off, if you like. Okay. Or it's maybe me that's off. It could be. It could be. So there's none of that. I don't believe. So that was the priority there to start with. So now we're just going to move on to the draw action cards. So this is the bit, like I say, we skipped the if in dangerous round bit, which is quite nice because that was quite complex. But however, I'm sure there's 2 or 3 complex instructions coming in as well. So let's get what could be a bit more interesting action cards in. So we draw 2, and again it's just the same. We're picking the lowest. So we've got 15 and 19. So 15 first. I don't think they're very good, are they? Not from a sort of like, they're an all game, and this is 1 to 6. So I don't think these are going to be. They're not aggressive anyway. So deploy flank protection. Place 1 garrison. So this the instructions. The criteria that's important here, well, I'm not saying the other ones aren't important, is would cause a German unit in dangerous round to no longer be in dangerous round. And then on turns 5 to 6, the unit must be in a hex in Soviet support. So if it's in dangerous round outside the Soviet support line, this isn't going to matter. Right, okay. Well, I think that really, it coincides with this move, this deployment of this unit that is in dangerous round. We know that. However, it's outside the Soviet support line, so that's not part of the criteria, that one. And in actual fact, we don't even need to look at any of these units, do we? And we're trying to place a garrison marker here, within 3 hexes of an active unit. And a garrison that would cause a German unit in dangerous round to no longer be in dangerous round. However, the unit must be in a hex in Soviet support. So we could probably have helped this guy out, but he's not in Soviet support. That's what I'm trying to say. Now we do have this guy along here. Actually, yeah, because this core Rouse unit. Well, again, no, hold on, he's outside Soviet support now. I was going to say, because there could be a garrison possibly placed here, which is within 3 of this, which might get that guy out of dangerous round. I don't think it does, no. But because it's turn 5, the unit must be in a hex in Soviet support. And he's not. Okay. So yeah, I mean, we can pretty much ignore a lot of things there then, really, with that one. You know, the first unit you can really look at are these 2 here, and then we know all these are solid. So yeah, I think I'm just going to scoot on by that one. Yeah, deploy flank protection, so nothing doing there. Well, it comes out at turn 6, I suppose. But this one's it's in the whole game, so it must be more important. But I think it's more, it's getting out of the surround, isn't it? So active unit surrounded and adjacent to a hex in German supply, or in which the unit would not be surrounded. Well, there's nothing. I mean, none of the second SS units are surrounded. Okay, so yeah, that's as straightforward as that. So let's just put that card away as well. So yeah, that was kind of uneventful, but anyway, they'll start kicking in soon. So that's step 3 and step 4. So now here it gets a bit more interesting. So step 5 is, I just want to have the rulebook open just when I'm checking this for the first time as well. I did read over that to check if there was any other bits that looked that you could get muddled up with, but I didn't really find any. Some words it's to keep it more brief, and I mean, understandable. They're trying to fit most of the, all the important rules on a couple of player aids, So it's understandable you're not going to get every word. I mean, the rulebook's, what is it? 43 pages or something like that. Condensed onto 4 pages of player aids. Anyway, Grant. Okay. That was step 5. Step 5. So, in descending order, move the unit to a hex that removes dangerous round from another German unit. Okay, maybe this one isn't going to kick in. That's 6, 7, and 8, isn't it? Yeah. So move the unit to a hex that removes dangerous round from another German unit in a hex in Soviet support. So again, it's going to ignore anything that's in dangerous round out of Soviet support, like this guy. It's just going to ignore that. Or that enables supply trays from a German occupied hex, regardless of support. So, yeah, I don't think we're going to get into that. No, because there's no units that are in dangerous surround and Soviet support. Certainly none that, there's none. There's not, these guys aren't either, I mean, it's only second SS units we're looking at trying to move to help out with that. So, yeah, I think we're going to be okay to skip by that one as well. Right, as step 6, it should start bring something. So step 6, in ascending order, move the unit to a hex in which the unit would be proximate to an empty Soviet VP hex. Okay, it's empty Soviet VP hex. So maybe not. Would be proximate to an empty Soviet VP hex, if not already proximate to any such hex. Well, we can have a look, but yeah, maybe not, because remember when we had all these red stars? I mean, I've only got 3 of them now, but I think I had about a dozen. Well, maybe not quite that many. I had 7 or 8, I think, that were all exposed. Well, basically that's what this is trying to do. It's trying to get the unit so that if it activates again next turn, it can then move into the VP hex. So yeah, makes sense, doesn't it? Well, I don't think there is. Like I say, these are the only 3 empty VP hexes that we have. I mean, I suppose this guy could probably move to be proximate to that. However, we've jumped by a rule, haven't we? Which again in step 2 is exactly the same. It's exactly the same. Step 2. If start alone in VP hex and Soviet unit proximate, do not move at all this activation. So, I mean, the guys up there in the city we're not proximate to, so they're not considered to be stuck this turn. This guy here, I don't think we're proximate to. We can't get through this gap, can we? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we're not proximate to that. Yeah, yeah, like I say, we're not proximate to that one, which is in a VP hex. That one's not alone, so it's got another unit, so even if we were proximate, it wouldn't be locked down. This is the only one I think might have an issue, which is, strangely enough, the one I was considering, it might move down there to get proximate. So it's in a VP hex on its own, and I believe we will be proximate to that. So 1, 2, 4, 5. Yes, we are proximate to that. So it's going to take... I'm just going to use these again, just to remind me that that can't move this activation, basically. And where it is, it's not going to do anything else, is it? If it can't move and there's nothing adjacent to it, I'm pretty convinced it can't do anything at all. So yeah, but the rest can. So what were we? We were trying to move to get proximate to an empty. No, he was the only one that could. Like I say, he maybe could. If he wasn't tied down to that, if it was another unit in that hex, or it wasn't a VP hex, he could go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He could get right to here, or a number of hexes that would then have him proximate to this empty VP hex. And that's the sort of move you say, right, okay, we need to get something in here now, because he's, hovering in. Whether that would be proximate, because you've got 2 broken hexes in it. But you know what I'm trying to say, basically, right? So, yeah, I don't think there's any, because we've got all our bases covered, if you like. So, yeah, we can move on to step 7. Right, so this is them trying to surround us now. Move proximate to the Soviet hex. It's not already proximate. Right. Yeah, there's nothing else they can do. No, this is the nearest one, Grant. The other 2 units are miles away. I'm still looking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, it's only 6 movement, Grant. You're not going to make... There's not 12 hexes for there to there. Right, okay, move on. 7. So in descending order, move to a hex that causes surround of Soviet unit. Okay, move to a hex that causes surround of Soviet unit. Now, we are still bound by movement restrictions. Also... I don't think that's on the player aid, is it? That's a shame. I used to, in Ardennes, I used to always referring to not movement restrictions, but when you're moving adjacent to a Soviet unit, and when you're trying to surround them, a lot of the time you are. It's rule 10.54, page 22, movement adjacent to Soviet unit, so we'll maybe keep that open just now. So anyway, we're trying to move to a hex that causes surround of a Soviet unit. Okay? Now, we can't consider multiple units move into surround that, right? As in, when you're checking proximity, when you're checking for dangerous around. So it means that, this, if we're activating this unit first, he's got to be able to surround wherever he goes. So it's not as easy at first, but once they get moving closer and then adjacent, then it becomes achievable, Okay. So yeah, it's kind of unlikely that any of these units, they're spread out a wee bit as well, and yeah, it's unlikely. So we know this guy can't move. We should be looking at descending order. This is units 5. Hang on, I just noticed. I think I'd maybe missed that guy. Again, I don't think. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's close. 1, and hang on a sec. Sorry. Lots of interruptions today. I was just forgot about this guy, and I thought, well, maybe. So can he get within proximity? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's one short. Move proximate to empty Soviet. Yeah, move proximate to empty Soviet hex. Again, that plurial word. It might move the unit to a hex in which the unit would be proximate to an empty Soviet VP hex, if not already proximate to any such hex. So yeah, he's only 1 hex short. Now, yeah, like I say, we're still bound by the restrictions from 4 plus. So we would need to check them, and between turns 4 and 7, if not in dangerous round, don't end move in dangerous round unless move ends in VP hex or hex outside Soviet support. However, he would be moving within Soviet support, so if he was moving to here, the likelihood is that we would probably be able to still surround him. So, it's maybe not sort of something that could. Well, it can't happen. He's one hex short as well, so we don't need to look at it. So what will we try to do next? We'll try to surround the Soviet unit. Yeah, so probably unlikely. He's unit number 5. I don't know. The guys in the city across there, they're not. They can't surround anything. This can't surround anything. And these two, I can move proximate, which they might be considering. But I can't surround. None of my units there are in well, they might be in dangerous surround, but I'm talking about one unit moving to be able to surround them, because that's what we're trying to do. That's what you've got to remember. We're not looking at the whole core here to say, okay, well, I can move that one down to there and then that one into there. It's like just that one unit at a time. So I'm going to say that's not going to be the case then. So we're moving on to step 8. So this is really the last one, but this is one that should be looking at things, whether restrictions might stop them or not. So it says, if not adjacent to Soviet unit, I'm going to want this to read in the rule book as well. If not adjacent to a Soviet unit, move to a hex closer to the nearest Soviet unit, and then there's preferences. Okay, so we're doing this in ascending order, right? Right, and then that's why I want to have these rules open at the bit 10.54, and then we've got movement restrictions. Okay, so ascending order. Okay, what we got? This guy's 6 and 10. He's a 1. He's a 2. He's a 5. So 1, 2, 5. This guy across here is a 9. But remember, he's got the wee yellow cube on him, so he's not going to move. So unit number 1 is here, and he doesn't mind about leaving that VP city because there's another unit in it. It's only one step that he's leaving in it, which we'll need to keep in mind because any other reserves that come in would go and reinforce that. Oh no, they wouldn't. That was only on turn 3 and 4, wasn't it? Yeah, so much to keep up with. Okay. So, if not adjacent to a Soviet unit, now looking at all the second SS units, none of them are adjacent to a Soviet unit. Move closer to nearest Soviet unit. Right. So where is his nearest Soviet unit? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And nearest, I'm pretty sure it will show you, it will have it in the terminology bit, I think. Where's that about? It's in 10 somewhere. I think I moved past it. There it is on the next page. Right, it's not saying nearest. Closest, I suppose. Yeah. Well, you know what? Well, that's actually a point. Is that considering proximity? It must be, yeah. No, it might not be. Oh, I need to find this out then. Closer and closest is German action terminology. If hex A is n hexes away from hex B, then any hex less than n hexes away from B is closer to B. Among all the hexes closer to B, a hex that is adjacent to B is closest to B. Whoosh. Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, well, the word in here is nearest, isn't it? That's what, maybe I was reading off the query there, maybe the rule book. Oh, that says closer. Did I read, or am I making up words? I am making up words. Well, actually, I said move closer to nearest. No, that is right. Hang on. If not adjacent to, this is from the rulebook, if not adjacent to a Soviet unit, move to a hex closer to the nearest Soviet unit. Okay, right. So I think that is within the German action. Well, closer and closest, and it's that bit I just read. If hex A is n hexes away, yeah, so the description of closer and closest is saying actual hexes, you know. Let's say if hex A is n hexes away from hex B, then any hex less than n hexes away from B is closer to B. So, and we are looking for we're looking to move to a hex closer to the nearest Soviet unit. Okay. Right. Maybe we can work it out when we start counting out some numbers. Maybe it'll become more clearer. Right. Okay. Hang on. I got myself flustered there. I had moved. This garrison was looking like it was in here, and I thought, wait, no, that's not a position hex. Check. That's one of the starting position hexes. So I must have nudged it out of the way. Okay, so where's the nearest Soviet unit from him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 away. Right, okay, and that's great. So, well, we've got two choices there. New to hex. What am I doing? Yeah, I've not moved closer to nearest Soviet unit. So, our preferences then, which might come into it, I just wish this first one was just the one unit and we could like just work out then. Move to a hex closer to the nearest Soviet unit. But it just says closer. Now doesn't mean until, well, the last preference is closest to the nearest Soviet unit, right? So, but it doesn't initially mean that they will move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, you know. I can actually reach him then, can't I? Whereas I can't reach him because terrain. 4, 5, 6, 7. Nah, it's crossing the minor river, isn't it? So that's about as close as I get. So I mean, this is coming down the road. So, well, let's look at the preferences, right? Because it's still not set in stone that it would come proximate to that and be as close to that as possible. It might be that certain preferences want it to go that way. As long as it becomes closer to it, then it's achieved its goal. Okay, that's my thinking just now, but I have the right to alter that thinking when I realise I'm not thinking correctly. Right, so, oh, well, there you go. Yeah, I should have read on. You know what preference A is? Adjacent to Soviet unit. Okay, so, well, there we go. So he is actually going to come and move adjacent to this stack. What's this getting scary? Okay, and he is the nearest one, so he's wanting to be adjacent to that. Now, what hex can he reach? Because that could be relevant. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can reach these, either these two hexes. Okay. So, and like his first preference is adjacent to Soviet unit. So there's his two options. So we move on to preference B, empty or garrison position hex. Am I reading the right bit there? Yeah, empty or garrisoned position hex. Right? No, well, they're both empty. C, within 3 hexes of a unit in the same core. One, well, not, they're not, are they? 1, 2, 3, that's 4 away. So, yeah, neither of them are within 3. And D, closest to nearest Soviet unit. Right, so we're going to have to look at some, maybe not tiebreakers, because this is where I want to start looking at moving adjacent to Soviet unit. The tiebreakers would be, what are they? A hex that enables another German unit to trace supply, not relevant. B, the lowest numbered hex, which would be this one then. So that would be the tiebreaker. However, well, I'm going to just say that that's our possibly the tiebreaker, but I wasn't able to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, yeah, nah. So with the 2 hexes, right? Okay, right. So just want to start looking at what is it again? 10.54. Right. So here's movement adjacent to Soviet unit. Now, well, hang on. This is saying when an action calls for German units to move adjacent to a Soviet unit, move the units one at a time, first the lead unit, then in ascending numerical order. I suppose this is looking at, maybe this is different when the game then. This is basically looking at an action card, and but here we go, it carries on. The following preferences apply to all moves, and it's highlighted in bold, in which a German unit is moving to a hex adjacent to a Soviet unit from a hex not adjacent to that Soviet unit, and take priority over instructions in a given action. So, they take priority over instructions in a given action. Okay. I wish this was marked on the actual rules to check this. It's not, is it? However, it's still, I mean, it's only the next couple of pages on. It is talking about the same sort of stuff. And it's not on an action card, but it says when an action calls for German units to move adjacent. But then our action tells us we do this in ascending order anyway. So, no, maybe it could just be as a reminder. Okay, let's read on then. So, and like I say, this says they take priority over instructions in the given action. So that stuff that I've just told you might be overridden. So it prefers a hex that would cause the Soviet unit to become surrounded. Well, none of them do that, but you can see the possibility that if we had another unit here, then this would be the choice of hex, because it would surround the units, rather than if we went there, it wouldn't surround, it would have an out. So, makes sense, doesn't it? A hex not adjacent to a German unit, adjacent to the same Soviet unit. So again, they're looking for flank. If we had a unit here, a German unit, if this guy was in here, then we wouldn't want to move there, we would want to move there to get the flank on the guy. Makes sense again. That's what you would do yourself, wouldn't it? I think it's not adjacent to a German unit, adjacent to the same Soviet unit, yeah. But none of them apply there. An empty hex, well again, you don't want to stack units together, you want to try and get flank, etc. And you don't want a one hex attack, you know, you don't want problems with that arising. Right, so both are empty. A hex occupied solely by German units not attacking in this action. Whoa. A hex occupied solely by German units not attacking in this action. Okay, right, because they're not going to be attacking, you're going to prioritise going in beside them. If you've not got an empty hex, you'll go in beside ones that aren't going to attack. Yeah, I can see there's something in there that says that should make some sense. I'm maybe not quite grasping it. However, we've got empty hexes to look at, so we don't need to look at that. And then finally, E is the most movement points to reach. Well, they were both 6 movement points to reach. And then it's got another bit, already adjacent. During a German attack action, a participating German unit already adjacent to the target will move to a different hex adjacent to the target if doing so causes the Soviet unit to become surrounded or become flanked. Again, makes sense that you would try and do that. You know, you wouldn't just sit there and attack. If I could go out and in and surround, then I would do that. But we're not looking at this because we're not adjacent at this time. And then it talks about stacking limits apply, obviously. When the number of German units eligible for a situational strength comparison exceed the stacking limits of the accessible hexes adjacent to the target, then include the lead unit followed by eligible units in ascending numerical order until the stacking limits are reached. Do not include units in excess stacking limits. That feels to me like a rule that came in through some issue in Ardennes. I feel like that was maybe something Martin brought up actually. Maybe not. I need to read more into that. It seems to be ringing certain bells. Okay, well that's the bit that we need to know. So none of the preferences have done anything to change our mind here. So we're going to then look at the tiebreaker, which was lowest numbered hex, so it's going to go here. However, we do have movement restrictions too, so let's look at them. Now from 4 onwards. Now remember, we are outside the Soviet support, so it's more than likely it's going to happen. So don't cause Soviet proximity to empty or garrison German VP hex. So, I mean, this guy wouldn't have moved out of this if he had been, but let's just say he was adjacent, we moved, and then, you know, then had a Soviet unit's proximate. So you wouldn't want to do that, obviously. Don't cause any German unit in hex in Soviet support. So again, in Soviet support, that's this side of this line. So all out here, it's not really causing any issue to be put in dangerous round, unless that unit is active and not yet acted. Between 4 and 7, if not in dangerous round, well, he's not. Don't end move in dangerous round, unless move ends in VP hex, or hex outside Soviet support. Well, both of them are outside Soviet support. So he doesn't care if he's in dangerous round. Don't cause surrounded Soviet unit to be unsurrounded. So if he was moving away from a unit and then unsurrounding it, obviously that would be silly as well. And don't end mech unit move in Marshek unless only choice. Okay, we've got our first bit of aggression from the Germans. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. He's going to move in there. I hope that's right. Yeah, okay. So I mean he's moving up against a strong stack, but I've not come across. I didn't come across anything there that said he wouldn't do that. I mean, if I draw an action card from next turn and he says attack, then obviously we've got to look at the situational strength and decide if he would do that or not. Right, anyway, it's an hour and 5 minutes, Grant. Why are you not getting a warning of space? I feel like it should be an hour and 5 minutes. Right, let's move on. So selector number 2 was this guy here. Right. With the IP on him. So again, he's going to try and do this too. If not adjacent to a Soviet unit, move closer to the nearest Soviet unit. So where's his nearest unit? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so he's got 3 options to move adjacent to, and he may well be able to move into multiple hexes round about them, depending on that. But first we need to break it down. Keep looking at action steps 8 plus. It's just right. It's at the top of the page, Grant. If not adjacent to Soviet unit, move closer to nearest Soviet unit. Prefer adjacent to Soviet unit. Well, I can get adjacent to any of them. Okay, so that doesn't break it down from me. Empty or garrison position hex. I'm not going to put cubes out yet because the cubes everywhere now. Empty or garrison position hex. Well, they're all empty, no garrisons. Within 3 hexes of unit in the same core. Okay, so this could be relevant because we've got this guy now. 1, 2, 3. He's not going to be able to within 3. However, yeah, see, that makes sense. That's a new instruction as well. I think that feels new. I could be wrong, but they want to stay together because when they activate again, they want to then be able to surround. They want to be going for the same target and ganging up on them. Of course they do. Right, so this would be within 3. However, can I reach there? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. That would be within 3 and adjacent to these nearest. And that would be within 3. 1, 2, 3, and that would be it. So basically, he's not going to this guy. He's not going to go for this guy. That's his preferences there. I suppose until we... It looked like looking at the preferences in 10.54, they weren't going to really butt in with us, I don't think. I'll just glance at them afterwards, and I don't think what they would do is also consider these 2 hexes. Well, that's not true actually, because if we had a unit in here, then the priority would be preference A within 10.54 is a hex that would cause the Soviet unit to become surrounded. So it would overrule these 3 and maybe go here if it was surrounding the unit, So yes, I think so. Right. I'll look at them in a sec. Let's get this bit worked out. Enter gas. Right, within 3 hexes the unit of the same core. Yeah, so closest to nearest Soviet unit. Closest. That's if it can't get adjacent. Yeah, so it would move to the hex it was closest to. So all of them are closest. So we need to again break that down. And if it was just to be tiebreakers, German unitary supply, no, lowest hex number, so they go, the lowest one would be the bottom one, wouldn't it? But yeah, there's two different units we're looking at here. this was broken down a bit differently, wasn't it? Previously in the other game. So just jumping back to the 10.54 again. So it would prefer a hex that would cause Soviet unit to become surrounded. We wouldn't be able to do that. The only hex, well, if this unit wasn't here, that would be the hex to surround that stack, but that's not the case. A hex not adjacent to a German unit adjacent to the same Soviet unit. Okay, well there you go, that removes that one, okay? Because that would be adjacent. A hex not adjacent to a German unit adjacent to the same Soviet unit. Yes, that's right. Because if I was to move here, I'd be adjacent to the German unit, adjacent to the same Soviet unit. So that one's coming away. The other two are okay still, right? C, an empty hex, they're both empty. D, a hex occupied solely by German units not attacking this action, no. And then E, most movement points to reach. I think they're the same, aren't they? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we can go along the road. That is a broken hex, but it's still 4 movement. If I come in by the road, you know, I could 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right enough. But yeah, you've got to pick the lowest. Yeah. So they're both the same. So, but it is going to still be that hex, isn't it? So that's us broken down, both sets of preferences. So again, we're still looking at a tiebreaker, and this is going to be the lowest numbered hex. Now, yeah, that does make me wonder a little bit, because I don't think they would be attacking here. All we're doing is moving just now. We've drawn action cards, admittedly. Yeah, that would be on an action card that said attack, and then you would move adjacent, but you would move to the same unit. It's just that this unit's obviously moving to a hex that's not adjacent to the same unit that the other guy moved to. But there's nothing to say that that would be the case. So, okay. And then restrictions. Ooh, right, stop grant. Because that is inside the Soviet support line. Damn it. Should have realised that, shouldn't I? If not in dangerous round, he is not. Don't end move in dangerous round unless move ends in VP hex or hex outside Soviet support or causes surround of Soviet unit or allowed by action. It's not allowed by the action. And if I move there, this guy goes 1, 2, 3, and he's surrounded. And he's just inside the Soviet support line. So let's rewind that. Well, I broke it down to these two hexes, hadn't I? So does that not mean that this one would work? Because it's outside the Soviet support line. Yeah, I would think so, actually. Because that one became ineligible because it was breaking a restriction. And we had both of them marked. That would be the next lowest one. This one was called out because it was adjacent to a German unit. Yeah, okay. Right, okay. Yeah, and I don't think there's a restriction with that. In fact, I don't think he's surroundable now either because of this other guy beside him. And you know what it might also do is, I don't think this guy's surroundable now as well, but not that was being asked. Don't cause Soviet proximity empty or garrison German VP hex. No, he is moving. Yeah, don't cause any German unit in hex and Soviet support. Don't cause any German unit in hex and Soviet support to be put in dangerous surround. Right, that's not going to happen, but it could have been possible. If I move to here, this guy is in Soviet support zone. So if I do move this guy, and let's just assume that this is going to happen. Take that away. It's 12:15. He's losing his IP. So just, like I say, for instance, because there's now a gap, we could maybe get surround on this. I don't think so. This is a Met unit underneath here though. So well actually, look at this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Actually, it might. No, I don't think I can get right across there though. Hang on. Yeah, I can't get quite across. This has always been an area we've tried to get across, but like I say, there's a Met unit underneath here. Oh, hang on. No, the problem is these can't go into here. That's the one. That's the one that was. I looked at it first and then I thought, no, I can't. Because if I could cross that boundary, he would be in dangerous round, but I'm not allowed to. And I don't think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's one short, and again going across here, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So yeah, there's no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Again, it's 6, isn't it? It's 2 to cross that river, isn't it? Yeah. No, I'm just one short. Same, the infantry is not going to help. 1, 2, 3, 4. So again, it's just the same. Right, oh, careful, Grant. Maybe just. And there's nothing below. As you can see, these are the nearest sort of stuff. I mean, there's a garrison here, but I mean, I can't get up to that hex to surround. And that's as far across as I could get, wasn't it? I get back in again there a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, it's not that I could get in here, and that might make the difference. No. Okay, so he's not leaving this guy, which is in the Soviet support zone, in dangerous round. So that's not breaking that restriction. Don't cause unit in the same corps to be put in dangerous round unless the unit is active and not yet acted. That doesn't mention so. Oh, right, you're reading the wrong bit again. Scrap that. Sorry. Yeah, if not in dangerous round, don't move in dangerous round unless you're outside the Soviet support line, and that's where he is now. Don't cause surrounding Soviet unit. Yeah, I'm good with that. I think that's right. Right, we are showing that we're running out of space now. Because I've done all this in a 1 hour this time, an hour and 17 minutes. Now we still do have. Well, I suppose the units across in the city might go as well. Right. Give me a better just. I feel like that's an hour and 18 minutes. I think an hour and 10, hour 15 is probably like as much as I like to go to. Although it's just moved into the red just now. I better go and copy it across. Not that I'll show anything you guys, you'll just get. It'll just carry on, hopefully, unless something goes wrong. Right, I'll be back shortly, okay? Cheers. Hi all. Right, that's me copied that bit across, so let's just get this little bit finished. Yeah, so we did move that guy to there. That cube was where he was. I was just checking a couple of things there, and all was good. So next unit is, I was having a wee look there while I was copying across. The guy in the VP town here. Now remember, we checked him already back in step 2. Because if he was starting alone in a VPX and a Soviet unit was proximate, he would not move at all, the same as this guy over here did. However, we went proximate at the time that check was made. However, if you look now, this is proximate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We are now proximate to that, but however that moves, that steps by, that's finished, that's gone. So, however, his restriction is don't cause Soviet proximity to enter garrison German VP hex. So it kind of covers it that way as well. So if I am to move out here, I'm not allowed to leave proximity to that, which makes sense. You know, if I knew a German unit was proximate to a VPX, I wouldn't really be able to move out of it. I'd be taking a chance, wouldn't I? Although I may have done that. So got to keep that one in mind. However, on top of that, I think, depending on some other things. Okay, right. So we're still looking at movement action step 8. And this is the next unit in line. Unit selector number 5. Not adjacent to Soviet unit, move closer to nearest Soviet unit. Well, again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to that, 5 to that, and 5 to that. So he's the same. He's looking at getting adjacent to any of them, or closer to any of them. Enter garrison position hex. So he wouldn't want to be going here adjacent. He would consider this, or this, if he could reach it, and he can. He can't get any further around the back or anything like that. It's not, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some of these units closer, you can see that they would get around the back and start surrounding these. So these are things that we've got to worry about, and maybe, consider, do we try and plug a gap here? Move this guy across, but then we leave. We expose things up there, but anyway, we'll need to worry about that when that's our turn. So what did I say? Enter garrison position hex. Right, and then C is within 3 hexes of a unit in the same core. Well, all these 4 choices, I would put cubes in them, but I suppose I could. Yeah, it kind of breaks it down, I suppose. This fact that there's that many. So there are 4 possible choices, and obviously I've not marked these because 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, it could get in there as well because these are not empty, right? So, so enter garrison position within 3 hexes of a unit in the same core. They all are. Once he moves there, it's going to be within 3 of either of the 2. Well, this one would be, yeah, you know what I'm saying. And then closest to nearest Soviet unit, well, they're all adjacent to a Soviet unit. So then we look at 10.54 again. Kind of wish this had been on the player aid, but I guess there's only so much you can put in. And I hope I'm dealing with that right as well. So yeah, I mean, you just needed the preferences, I think. Well, maybe, I don't know. Maybe not. So, prefer a hex that would cause the Soviet unit to become surrounded. Well, none of them are going to quite achieve that. No. B is a hex not adjacent. Now, this is the one that comes in again. A hex not adjacent to a German unit adjacent to the same Soviet unit. So if I move here, I'm going to be adjacent to a German unit adjacent to the same Soviet unit. So that comes away. If I move here, I'm going to be adjacent to German unit adjacent to the same Soviet unit. So that comes away. So that breaks it down to these 2. An empty hex, well, they're both empty. And then a hex occupied solely by German units not attacking this action. Well, no, that's not applicable. And then most movement points to reach. I think they're both the same though, are they not? Or are they? 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ah, there you go. Ah, interesting. So a hex, most movement points to reach. Yeah, so that means that would be the priority. If it broke it down to tiebreaker, again, that would be the priority as well. It's the lowest hex number. So, yeah, so is this guy going to move to here? So that's us check both. Went through all the preferences. So what about movement restrictions? Well, I told you before that the first one is don't cause Soviet proximity to enter garrison German VP hex. We now have an empty VP hex. However, this was the guy that I checked that was proximate. But obviously the units come down here, so there's no gap there. This guy is a mech unit here with 6 movement, but we know how tricky it is to get across. Then he's into the woods. we don't have any proximate to that, so there's no restriction broken there, I don't believe. No. Okay. Next restriction would be don't cause any German unit in Hex and Soviet support to be put in dangerous round. Well, with that guy moving down to there, I don't believe there is. Remember, this is Soviet support line. This unit we already looked at last time, because he is inside and there's a lot of space round about him, but we've already checked these units moving across, and if you remember rightly, it was one of them that was coming to, that could get to here. So now that's not possible, so don't see that coming into it. Turns 4 to 7. If not in dangerous round, don't end move in dangerous round. Is he? No, he's okay. He's outside the... No, he's not, Grant. You're talking rubbish. He's probably surroundable then. Or is he? Is he? Maybe. Well, you would think so, because only needs a unit to go in here. I might be backing up to that Hex again. Wait now then. If not in dangerous round, don't end move in dangerous round unless move ends in VP Hex, it does not. Or Hex outside Soviet support, it does not. This is in Soviet support. Or causes surround of Soviet unit, or is allowed by action. None of them apply either. And then the last two restrictions don't apply. Don't cause surrounded Soviet unit to become unsurrounded. So is he in dangerous round? I think he possibly, well, he is, isn't he? Or is he? Yeah, because the infantry only costs 1 to move across there, and then 2 into there. Is that? Yeah, that guy's then surrounded. So we don't want that. So, but this was his other choice. And this is stepping back. This is stepping back to why did they pick between the two? Yeah, it was just movement. So let's just see if he ends up there then, because this might be a bit trickier to get to there for these guys. So indeed, it's 1 for the infantry, but then 2, 3, 4. So we can only get into there with the infantry. I wouldn't have thought the mech unit's going to be any better. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, it's nowhere near it. Yeah, there's no way we're getting round into that X, is there? Yeah. Okay, so that means between the two hexes, although the preference was the most movement points, the preference ended up breaking a restriction. So yeah, you go back to the one that's legal. And sorry, I'm trying to think how I broke it down there. It was it was, these were avoided because they were adjacent to the German unit, whereas these two were not. And then we just broke it down even further to this being the extra movement point to get there, but that broke a restriction and that one did not. Right, good. I'm going with that. So it's left that town empty, but we're not proximate to it because we would be breaking a restriction if we were. So that's that. Right, okay, that was unit 5. Right, next one is unit 6. And he's one of the ones in the city. So he's wanting to move closer as well. And I doubt he's going to break any restrictions. I might need to open up a little bit. It's probably the same sort of area though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 13, 14. It's probably these two stacks. This is maybe slightly further away. So he's wanting to move closer to these guys. He's wanting to prefer adjacent to Soviet unit. He's not going to be able to do that. Enter garrison position hex. He could do either of that, possibly. Within 3 hexes of a unit in the same core. Right, that's tricky then. That means, okay. And then closest, but because that comes first, then he's only going to move 3 hexes away. That's right, isn't it? Because he's going to stop within 3 hexes. Because, you know, if I move this guy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Then we look at the restrictions. Not restrictions, preferences. He's not adjacent to a Soviet unit, okay. He's in an empty or garrison position hex, yeah, he is. Within 3 hexes of a unit in the same corps, he's not. However, if we could jump to D, closest to nearest Soviet unit, that's where we'd be. However, we need to go back to somewhere like here to be within 3 of that unit. Because he's wanting to move. Well, if I'm moving back to there, adjacent to Soviet unit, no. Empty or garrison position hit, yeah. Within 3 hexes of a unit, the same corps, bingo. So, you know, he could go here. 1, 2, 3. He could go here. Yeah, there's. Yeah, to get the exact hex. I mean, does it really matter? I mean, that's probably further away, isn't it? Let's say that one's further away. Oh, hang on. You know how fussy I am. Right. Yeah, Fussy Grant decides to check it out. So every one of them are 11 hexes away from his nearest Soviet unit. And every one of the hexes would be 3 away from a unit in the same corps. Okay. And we still are, if we move to any one of the hexes, they're all empty. We would still be getting closer to the unit, which is what we're trying to do. So maybe slightly odd, this one. However, it means his buddy is going to zoom. He's going to move 3 hexes past him, I think. Anyway. Hopefully I'm getting this right. Yeah, it might feel a little bit odd, but it's because there's 2 of them in the one. I mean, if there was only one of them there, he would move 6 hexes. He would move as close as he could. Well, unless he was able to get within 3 of a unit in the same corps. Right? So, right, jumping back. I keep looking at the wrong bit there. Adjacent, no. Empty, yes. Within 3 hexes of the unit in the same corps, yes. B, closest to nearest Soviet unit, they're all the same. So now we're looking at tiebreakers. Do I think we need to... No, we don't need to look at 10.54 because we're not moving adjacent this time. Excellent. So basically we're looking at tiebreakers there. Hex that enables German unit to trace supply. Not applicable. The lowest numbered hex, so it's going to be the one in the bottom, isn't it? 2216. So he is going to move here, and there's not going to be any restrictions with that. Too far away from everything. Okay, right, unit number 9 is the one that's over here now. He's not going to move because he was determined in step 2 that he wasn't going to move, so he's not going to do anything in step 8. And then we move back to 10, which is the last one, I think, I hope. Okay, so again, he's exactly the same as what this guy was. Same hexes away. This time however, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he can move his full 6. Just off camera. And be within 3 of this. And, you know, again, right, hang on. Right, okay, so there's this guy's 3 choices. He's only got 3. I thought there was going to be a 4th, but he would be coming across this minor river, so he wouldn't be able to reach this hex. So there are the 3 possibilities. And the reason, well, that's 6 movement for that guy. So that's as close as he can get towards them. But he's also going to be within 3. I mean, if he could have moved 7, he wouldn't, because he needs to stay within 3, unless, of course, he could end up within 3 of one of these, of the same core. Okay, so, yeah, all the positions are possible. Empty garrison within 3 hexes, closest to the nearest Soviet unit. They're all as close. So again, we don't really look at 10.54. Look at tiebreakers. Again, it's going to be the lowest position hex, which is the one down the bottom. And he goes there. Now we have moved out of the city there. But yeah, he's fine. Don't cause Soviet proximity to enter garrison German BP hex. Nothing to say he wouldn't move out of city, I don't think. Unless, of course, we had a unit proximate to that city. That is one of the cities that you need for the victory condition. But anyway, we're nowhere near that, so that's fine. And come the time that we deploy some other fourth... Oh no, I've been to that one before, haven't I? That's not the case, is it? It's not, is it? Or is it? I think that was only on turn 3 and 4, wasn't it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, okay. Right, okay, that's them all moved then. So, I mean, we would still... This guy hasn't actually had an activation yet, but he can't move. So, we look at step 9, which is remove the disperse marker from the unit. So, that's it. So, he's not actually going to do anything at all. There's no mention of building IPs this time, so yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. Hopefully it's all right. It felt good, but well, I've been there before, and it's all ended up going horribly wrong. So that's the impulse done. Yeah, I was thinking I was going to get two impulses in there as well, the way that started, because I only replaced a point, didn't I think. Yeah, so you can see the Germans starting to get moving now, starting to gather. They want to be close to each other, and they want to be within 3 unit in their own core. You know, that's where their movement is. And next time they might sort of be looking, and of course if we draw action cards that say attack, it's possible they would have a go at this guy. He's on his own. He's got an IP. So that situation only takes him to 6. But they've got 10 strength there, you know. Could this guy come around the back, maybe? I don't think so, but, you know, surround them, you never know. Okay. Right, yeah, starting to get a bit more interesting. And I'm glad, because I was looking at my side of things thinking... I'm going to be a bit boring. Replace a point here, you know, shore up this bit here, not do very much. Well, the Germans are going to bring the fun, I think. Okay, so I'm looking forward to the next bit now, actually. That's really kind of, yeah, got me thinking about things. Right, I'll put this together and get it up there to you. Again, it won't be reviewed if I do that. I'll put a wee note saying that. I managed to, like I say, review that last part, so it should be, well, as far as I can see, there was no mistakes, but that's not to say, like I say. And then hopefully get back a wee bit later. I better take a break just now, and I should get another part done tonight, I think. Fingers crossed. Okay, I'll be back soon, guys. Cheers.